Welcome back to the Hive, everyone! We missed you. I hope you're having a good day. Thank you so much for showing us so much love in our first video, because here we are with part 2. From curious ways of living to full-on champions of life, today's list covers all the wonderful ways to be human and all the strange things that come with it. Join me as we count down our list of top 10 people you won't believe unless you saw them. Part 2. Let's go. Number 10, Amoo Hadji. Is there anything more refreshing than like a shower after a long day? Yes. In the morning to wash away the sleep. That's my opinion. What do you guys think? But for Amoo Hadji, water is the last thing in the world he wants to touch. Amoo is the dirtiest man in the world as a fact. He believes the opposite is true when it comes to cleanliness equals godliness. He is terrified of water and believes that if he bathes, he will get sick, which is why he hasn't bathed for over 60 years. Yeah, that's right. He is terrified of water, but apparently this lifestyle works for him so far, as his lifespan is pretty good. But bathing isn't the only thing he doesn't do. Amoo is very fond of cigarettes and sometimes smokes 4 or 5 at a time, like in a handful. On top of that, he smokes out of a pipe. Except it's not tobacco he's smoking. He is particularly fond of smoking animal feces, and his favorite delicacy is rotted meat. Amoo also has picked a very fond dugout spot to sleep in, and also takes shelter in a brick kind of like mini building that the community built for him. He is now 83 and appears to be quite settled in his lifestyle. How or why he decided this life of isolation was for him isn't clear. There are hints that his home life experiences weren't ideal, resulting in him favoring the wandering life, which I get you, dude. However, he is looking for a partner, and hey, maybe he will find some love out there after all. Number 9, Sanju Baghat. This next one has a spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen *Malignant* yet. Just saying. I laughed way more than I thought I would, and I think that says all I need to say about that movie. It was special. But for anyone who has seen the movie, this is the closest it will get to real life. Sanju Baghat was born with a strange protruding belly that some believed was a benign tumor. He carried it for 36 years, enduring the looks people cruelly gave him because he looked like he was pregnant. Whatever was inside him put a lot of pressure on his lungs, and finally it became too much. At 36 years old, he was rushed to the hospital, and the doctors decided to perform emergency surgery to remove it, but what they found was shocking. They found a parasitic fetus inside him, Sanju's twin brother that had been feeding off him for years. This is an insanely rare case of fetus fetu, where the dominant fetus survives, where the twin kind of gets absorbed, but survives more like a parasite. It's super insane, and no one suspected it for years. Why would they? Today he leads a very normal life, though he still gets teased occasionally, but what an incredible case. Number 8, Lal Bihari. Imagine having to prove you are alive. It should be as easy as saying like, hey man, I'm alive, but for many people, even if they met Lal Bihari, they didn't believe he existed. So in the case of Bihari, he is still someone you wouldn't believe existed even if you saw him. When he was just 22, he walked into the bank to apply for a loan towards property that once belonged to his father, only to be told that he was dead. Right? Like, you'd think it wouldn't take long for whoever declared it to be, corrected, but flash forward 18 years later, Bihari discovered that his family bribed the record keeper to forge his death certificate so a portion of the land could pass to his uncle. After like leaping and jumping and diving through one legal hoop after the next, Bihari finally regained his personhood in 1994. I can never imagine that happening. That's insane. Number 7, Michael Lotito. Do you ever get so hungry you just wish you could eat everything? Well, guess what? It's pretty possible. In the case of Michael Lotito, that is. Michael was one hungry guy, and a big turkey dinner just wasn't enough for him. He preferred, at times, like a 1.5-ton plane, an entire car, glasses of wine, minus the wine, crushed light bulbs, you name it. He had the world and medical examiners boggled. Leading medical researchers investigated his digestive system to solve the mystery, but the only thing they came up with was like, I don't know, he can just do it, right? His body was capable of digesting these extreme materials without issue. Sadly, Michael passed away in 2007 at the age of 57 from natural causes, though it is still suspected that some of the chemicals he ingested sped the process. Not surprising. So though he could consume them safely being very loosely used here, his body still absorbed the toxicity from the materials, but still, imagine being able to eat a whole plane. Wow. Number 6, Lee Redmond. It boggles, okay, this actually boggles my mind, like how people can have really, really long nails. Like how do you type? How do you live life? Like text, untangle a necklace, you know? Like all the little small things you cannot do with massive nails, you know what I mean? And why do I kind of want them a little so I can feel like a really cool witch? It's all very confusing, but not as confusing as a woman who spent 30 years growing her fingernails. Lee Redmond held the Guinness Book of World Records longest nails in the world at the length of 28 feet and 4 inches. It all started back in 1979 when Lee became curious to see how long they would grow before they like bent out of shape, but they never did. Likely due to her frequent manicures, her nails just kept growing in graceful arches. Her doctor even said that they were so long, if she was trapped in a bunker with no food, her nails would sustain her for 3 months, right? What? Sadly, Lee finally lost her battle in a tragic car accident that took her nails from her. So thankfully not her life, but her nails. It was actually really sad to see how she spoke about them. She took care of them for 30 years. They were like a part of her life. And for all that time and care to be destroyed in a matter of seconds, it was a huge deal for her. Now in her 70s, Lee won't grow them out again, as she probably won't live another 30 years, she says. But man, I can imagine that's actually kind of a bit of a loss. Number 5. James Goss. UK-based James Goss is a massive body mod enthusiast and currently holds the world record for most flesh tunnels in face. Like imagine being the person who came up with that title. What can we put this under? Oh yeah, flesh tunnels in your face. What a strange... Anyways, what is a flesh tunnel, you ask? Well, in Goss's case, it's the 14 holes in his face that he can like stick things through. James started pursuing the title when he saw the current record was only 11. James said, and I quote, "I saw what his record was and I realized that because I'd already had more facial piercings than that, it wouldn't be too difficult for me to break that record." Unquote. Pretty practical. He always liked the look of body mods, and the more he saw them, the more he liked them. Hell yeah! His first piercing was given to him by a girl he had a crush on when he was 13. That's a cute story. He has learned more about how to stretch his piercings safely and aims to continue, and recommends you always contact a professional when trying to do a body modification to see if it's 1, possible, and 2, if you can continue with it safely. So if you're interested, be careful. Number 4. Evangelos Katsioulis. If you visited me in MA, then you know I've done some lists about evil geniuses, people with like really high IQs that have done some pretty nefarious things. But thankfully, that's not the case with Evan. Evangelos sets the bar high, the highest in fact. He has the highest IQ in the world, sitting at 198.4. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what an IQ is, it is an intelligence quotient. After a set of standardized tests and subtests, a total score is derived which assesses human intelligence. It essentially measures the ability to reason and solve problems. A really good IQ score is considered around like 100 is great, 120 to 30 is awesome, 140 is genius level. So what does that make Evangelos? He has founded the World Intelligence Network, an international organization to help and detect gifted individuals. AKA Professor X. Like for sure, 100%. That's what he's doing. Love it. That's amazing. He currently works though as a psychiatrist and aims to help others realize how beautiful and simple life is. And you can check out his website as well as Instagram. It's really fascinating. I would head over there. Number 3. Tom Staniford. Sadly, a lot of people have an unhealthy relationship to fat and their health. They either have too much or too little and they just can't seem to find a balance. So for some people, they might wish that they had Tom Staniford's problem, but after hearing his story, you might think twice. His body is incapable of storing fat. British paracyclist Tom Staniford is one of 8 people in the world who can't store fat beneath his skin. It's called MDP syndrome. Even stranger, he has type 2 diabetes, giving the impression that his body behaves like he is obese. According to Tom, and I quote, "I have just 40% of the muscles of an average male. I struggle to metabolize sugar and carbohydrates efficiently due to the diabetes, and I struggle to recover due to a lack of immediate fuel sources, low testosterone, etc." Unquote. Up until recently, there was little to no understanding of what caused this, but then another case was found and a researcher was able to uncover the genetic mutation that occurred in his father's sperm when he was really young. It took scientists from England, India, Italy, and the US to figure this out, but they still can't cure him. But like that's gonna stop Tom. Tom has achieved several goals, which includes becoming the British National Paracycling Circuit Race Champion in 2011. He also has 2 degrees in French and law. Number 2. Josh Sunquist. If you told me that I could not only survive with 1 leg, but thrive, I'm not sure I'd believe you right away. But wait. there's freaking Josh Sunquist. If you haven't heard that name before, I'm honored to introduce you. Josh is one of the most optimistic and motivational people on the planet. After losing his leg to a rare form of bone cancer, Josh championed his condition and thrives on just one leg. He was declared cured at age 13 and took up ski racing 3 years later. He is now a prolific Paralympic athlete and also tours as a comedian and motivational speaker. You also might know him from his outstanding one-of-a-kind costumes, from like a flamingo to the IHOP logo. Freaking Josh Sunquist. Amazing. And last but not least, one of my favorite people ever, Gabe Adams. This guy blows my mind. I absolutely adore him. You may have seen Gabe Adams on TikTok, and if you haven't, well, like, get on over there and scroll. Gabe has taken the world by a storm of self-acceptance and positivity. He was born with a rare heart condition which left him without arms or legs. He was sadly abandoned by his mom in Brazil, but then a couple from Utah, Janelle and Ron Adams, adopted him along with 13 other kids. Adams first wowed his high school dance team when he auditioned for them, and has since even won awards and recognition at competitions. Before COVID, Gabe worked as a motivational speaker. Then, COVID hit. October 2020, Adams joined TikTok with selfie-style makeup videos, but his followers blew up from 1,000 to millions when people realized how he was doing his own makeup without arms or legs. Gabe says he started doing makeup because of dance, and it has helped him find self-acceptance. He proves time and time again that just because someone has a disability doesn't mean that we should underestimate them. Gabe has overcome so much adversity, both emotionally and externally. I'm a huge fan of his TikTok, so if you need some badass positivity, head on over there. Everyone encounters different challenges in their life, big and small, but at the end of the day, in the words of one of my favorite authors, SJM, only you can decide what breaks you. If you liked today's video, show us some love, like, subscribe, comment, tell me something good about your week, even if it was just that really good coffee you had. I've been your host, Rachel Fisher, and until next time, stay sweet, honey.